Chosen one, your journey has never been about speed. It's been about alignment, precision, and sacred preparation. There's a reason your billionaire destiny has not yet materialized, and it is not because you were forgotten. It is because the universe does not rush greatness, it cultivates it. Every delay you've endured, every not yet you've encountered, every door that seemed locked was preparing you for something colossal. You were not born to taste ordinary success. You were born to shift realities, to reshape paradigms, to sit at a table that hadn't even been built yet, because you were always meant to build it. Watch this video until the end, chosen one, and as you do, let your heart open to the truth that your time is still coming. Write your warmest wishes in the comments, and don't forget to seal them with the number 77, a symbol of divine completion and manifestation. When wishes are declared from a heart that believes, the universe listens. You are not here by accident. You were drawn here because the shift is near. The energy is rising. You are finally in alignment. Now, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive deeper. The delay in your billionaire destiny wasn't a denial. It was a divine restructuring of the internal frameworks needed to carry that kind of wealth. If the millions came before the maturity, the empire would crumble. If the influence came before the identity, you would have lost yourself in someone else's vision. The truth is, you were being molded, refined, shaped in silence while others got applause, sculpted in the dark while others stood in spotlights. But there's something sacred about delay. It hides you from premature exposure. It keeps you grounded, rooted, and unshaken by what takes others under. You didn't miss your moment. You were being hidden until the world was finally ready for your magnitude. Because when a soul like yours rises, it doesn't just make waves, it births tsunamis. The world you're going to impact had to evolve to a place where your voice could be heard, your vision could be understood, and your mission could be received. That's not delay. That's divine timing. And it is right on schedule. Many others have arrived earlier, built fast, and collapsed faster. But you are different. You are not here to be a spark. You are here to be a foundation, a force, a revolution. And foundations take time. Deep roots, strong steel, unshakable belief. So if it took longer, it's because what you're building will last generations. And generational wealth isn't just about money. It's about energy. It's about presence. It's about legacy. That's what you were made for. The environments you were placed in weren't always fair, but they were necessary. Every struggle was a sculptor, every betrayal a blueprint, every setback a setup. You were being stretched, not to break, but to contain more influence, more abundance, more responsibility. That kind of expansion requires trials, and every tear you shed was watering the soil of your billionaire timeline. You were being tested in character before you were trusted with capital. The delay wasn't because the universe doubted your power. It was ensuring your power wouldn't be misused, because what you're about to touch will affect millions. You had to be ready. You had to be whole. You had to be you, fully, authentically, and unshakably you. Yes, you saw others pass you. Yes, you supported people who later forgot you. Yes, you built dreams for others while yours stayed dormant. But the truth is, your path was never meant to mirror anyone else's. You are an original, and originals take longer. You weren't late. You were in progress. You were not being punished. You were being preserved. Some people inherit wealth, but you are going to generate it. And that requires a soul forged in the fire of adversity. It requires someone who knows how to lead with humility, serve with compassion, and build with integrity. That is you. That's who you've become through every delay. You've healed in silence, grown in secret, evolved in solitude. And now, you carry something they don't teach in schools or sell in books. Wisdom born of endurance. The kind of wealth that doesn't just change your life, but rewrites your bloodline's destiny. That's why it took time. That's why it looked like delay. Chosen one, you are about to enter rooms your ancestors only dreamed of. You're about to speak in circles your childhood self couldn't even imagine. And when you walk in, you'll carry not just money, but meaning. Not just investments, but influence. You will speak, and atmospheres will shift. Not because you have $1 billion, but because you became a billionaire in your soul, long before the money arrived. The truth is, you didn't just want riches, you wanted righteous riches. You wanted to do good, to uplift, to heal through your wealth. And the universe heard that. It couldn't let you receive too soon and risk the mission. So it waited. It waited until you were unshakable, until you knew your worth outside the bank account, until you no longer chased validation, but walked in conviction. You weren't overlooked. You were being over-prepared, because what's coming isn't ordinary success. It's destiny. And destiny doesn't arrive early. It comes right on divine time. That's why people couldn't understand your path. It wasn't made to be understood. It was made to be witnessed. And now, that moment is approaching. That energy that once felt stagnant is now stirring. You feel it. The signs are appearing. The synchronicities are multiplying. The fog is lifting. Because when the delay is over, acceleration begins. And acceleration doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't apologize. It doesn't warn. It moves rapidly, relentlessly. And that's what's about to happen in your life. That billionaire destiny wasn't cancelled. It was compounded. Every month of silence added weight to your voice. Every year of waiting added speed to your rise. And now, you're not just going to arrive, you're going to arrive unstoppable. So no, the delay wasn't failure. It was foundation. It was the sacred space between who you were and who you're about to become. The quiet before the thunder. The inhale before the roar. And now, the roar is coming. You are becoming the thunder they never saw coming. You are rising. And the next chapters will prove why it was all worth it. Chosen one, there's something you must understand. Delay isn't just a pause. It's a divine filter. While you were waiting, the universe was clearing your path. Not everything you desired was denied. Some things were removed so they wouldn't interfere with the destiny designed for you. People, opportunities, partnerships. Many looked promising, but would have poisoned your progress. And the delay? That was your protection. You prayed for elevation. But the elevation you're destined for requires separation. You had to be disconnected from what was draining you. The universe knew that even a small leak could sink a massive ship. So it let the distractions fade. It let people walk away. It let your timeline seem uncertain. Not to discourage you, but to detox you from needing external approval. Because your rise will not be based on applause. It will be based on purpose. This billionaire calling isn't only about wealth. It's about awakening. Your presence, your voice, your ideas carry frequency. You don't just bring capital, you bring change. And those who carry change must carry discipline, must carry vision, must carry restraint. You weren't being held back. You were being calibrated. The weight of what you are meant to carry required strength most don't have. And now, you do. You've learned how to be patient without being passive, how to be hopeful without being desperate, You've learned how to trust when there was no evidence, and believe when nothing made sense. And now, that unshakable faith has become your foundation. When others tremble, you'll stand. When others panic, you'll strategize. That's the kind of billionaire you were meant to be. Not just rich in numbers, but rich in nerves, in wisdom, in clarity. You were meant to lead in storms, not just shine in sunshine. And that's why your path required resistance. You've seen failure face to face and still stood. You've lost things you thought were permanent and still rebuilt. You've cried in silence and still encouraged others. All of that was preparation. You were being taught to operate under pressure, because when billions are involved, pressure becomes part of the daily atmosphere. And now, you've adapted. The world doesn't need another loud, flashy, reckless billionaire. It needs someone who remembers pain. Someone who remembers lack, not as a limitation, but as fuel. You remember what it was like to go unnoticed, to grind with no reward, to give without getting. And that memory will guide your generosity. That memory will birth movements. That memory will be your anchor when everything else rises too fast. The truth is, you outgrew where you were before your destiny arrived. But because your outer world didn't match your inner growth, it looked like a delay. But what it really was a stretching. The universe was making room. You weren't being stalled. You were being expanded, quietly, internally, deeply. And now, the shell that once held you no longer fits. That's why you feel the pull. That's why you feel the urgency. That's why you feel the shift. It's time. Chosen one, your billionaire timeline is not built on shortcuts. It's being built on substance. You didn't scheme your way here. You didn't manipulate. You endured. You became. You healed. And now, your name is being whispered in rooms you haven't even entered. Your energy is arriving before you do. Because people don't just want what you offer, they want you. Your authenticity, your originality, your depth. You see, there was a reason you couldn't copy others. Their formulas wouldn't work for you. Their paths would have led you astray. You were not meant to fit their mold. You were meant to break it. That's why you always felt different, misunderstood, overlooked. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. You weren't being denied access. You were being trained to build the door. And now, the door is forming. Slowly, steadily, surely. But it will open only when the time is right. Not when you're desperate, not when you're forcing it, but when you're ready to receive without losing yourself in the process. There are billionaires who gained everything and lost their peace. But you, chosen one, you will gain with peace, build with joy, expand with balance. That's why the process seemed slower, because you weren't just gaining wealth, you were learning how to keep it, how to manage it, how to multiply it without multiplying misery. There's a sacred intelligence behind your process. Every connection you lost was a divine cut. Every failure was a forced reroute. Every moment of confusion was a seed of wisdom planted beneath the surface. You've grown in ways no one sees, but soon they won't be able to look away, because true wealth can't stay hidden forever. You're not just about to become rich, you're about to become remembered for how you made people feel, for what you built that outlasted you, for the way your story lit fires in others who were drowning in doubt. That's why it took so long. You are becoming the kind of person who doesn't just cash in, you cash out blessings for generations. And let's be honest, you weren't always ready. There were seasons where ego clouded your vision, where fear made you shrink, where doubt paralyzed your action. But even then, You were being refined. You were being emptied of everything that would sabotage the success you prayed for. And now, you're clean, you're clear, you're calm. And that calm is your currency. The time you thought was wasted was really wisdom in disguise. You didn't lose time. You gained depth, gained insight, gained the kind of clarity that most don't get until it's too late. Now, you move differently. Now, you build intentionally. Now, you understand that wealth without why is a trap, but wealth with purpose is power. You are walking proof that late bloomers bloom better, that those who start slow often finish with legacy. You are evidence that the wait is worth it, and the world is about to witness the unveiling. The world doesn't know what's coming, but you do. You've felt it for years. You've dreamed of it in the dark. And now, the dreams are no longer whispers. They're becoming instructions. The visions are becoming blueprints. The momentum is building. The divine timer has been activated. The delay is over, and the destiny is arriving. Chosen one. There were seasons when your hunger nearly turned into hopelessness. You watched others rise, who didn't carry even half your vision, and you wondered, why not me? Why not now? But comparison was part of the test. The universe needed to know. Would you fold under someone else's timeline, or would you stand firm in your own? Every moment of envy you felt wasn't a flaw. It was a signal, a reminder that you were meant for something extraordinary. But extraordinary doesn't come early. It comes earned. You were never meant to be a copy of success. You were meant to be a new blueprint altogether. And blueprints this powerful require time, alignment, patience, precision. Your billionaire destiny was delayed because the structure being built in you was sacred. Fragile foundations wouldn't last where you're going. You needed roots, not scaffolding, depth, not decoration. And while others were chasing fame, you were cultivating focus. That's why you don't crumble under pressure now. That's why you don't move just because someone else is moving. You've learned to wait for the right current because you don't swim, you soar. The delay made you dangerous, not in a reckless way, but in a resilient way. You've become immune to panic, immune to trends. You've stopped reacting and started creating. You've stopped begging and started commanding. That shift wasn't luck. That was the long, hard road of delay turning into destiny. Every detour you hated had data in it. Every silence taught you to hear more clearly. Every time the door closed, you were forced to build your own gate. And now you know, you never needed permission. You needed preparation. People will look at your rise and think it happened quickly, but you and the universe know the truth. It was decades in the making. Years of inner warfare, silent battles, restless nights where sleep couldn't quiet the vision. And still, you stayed. Still, you showed up. Still, you didn't give up. That's not normal. That's chosen. Do you know how rare that kind of persistence is? Do you know how few people can hold a dream this big without it breaking them? But not you. You were cracked, yes, but never crushed. Bent, yes, but never broken. Because the fire inside you burns clean. You're not here just to consume wealth. You're here to circulate it, to direct it, to assign it purpose. The universe delayed your billionaire season because you needed to see the system from the inside, to experience what it feels like to be unseen, unheard, undervalued. So when your turn came, you would never forget those who are still climbing. Your empathy has been sharpened. Your humility has been solidified. You know what it feels like to be small, and that will keep you grounded when you become massive. You've been building not just a business, but a new breed of success. A success that uplifts, that frees, that gives. And that kind of power takes time. The average person would have quit after the second closed door, the third rejection, the fifth betrayal. But not you. You absorbed the pain and turned it into purpose. You turned no's into fuel. You turned loneliness into leadership. The delay wasn't wasted time. It was alchemy. You transformed chaos into clarity, delay into discipline. You stopped waiting for motivation and started moving with momentum. That shift was everything. There was a time when you begged for opportunity. Now opportunity seeks you. And the irony, most of those who once ignored you will come back, this time to invest, to partner, to praise. But you won't need their validation anymore. The delay removed the need for approval. It made your focus pure. You've been pulled away from noise, from hype, from superficial victories. Because your story isn't about fast wins. It's about lasting impact. And lasting impact doesn't come from trends. It comes from truth. And you've walked through enough darkness to carry light now. You don't speak from theory. You speak from transformation. So when you speak now, people will feel it. When you launch, the earth will shift. When you move, momentum will follow. That's the level of power that's been incubating during the delay. You weren't being held back. You were being tuned, refined like a frequency that only those ready can hear. Not everyone will understand your message, but the right ones will feel it deep in their bones. They'll follow you not because of your money, but because of your mind, your movement, your mission. That's billionaire energy. That's leadership that transcends bank accounts. Chosen one, you are no longer afraid of loss because you've already lost and lived. You are no longer afraid of rejection because you've been denied and still built. You are no longer afraid of failure because failure trained you harder than success ever could. And now, you are fearless, not reckless, fearless. And fearless builders are unstoppable. The delay wasn't punishment. It was permission. Permission for the divine to work in the deep places no one could see, to teach you how to carry what others drop, to walk where others fall, to thrive where others only survive. Your billionaire destiny is not just about arrival, it's about becoming, and you have become. You don't just chase dreams anymore, you embody them. And because of that, the world is about to hand you keys that were always yours, keys that unlock more than just doors, keys that unlock destinies in others too. This is why it took so long. Because what's being unlocked through you isn't just for you. It's for generations you haven't met yet, for systems that will change because you dared to think differently, for cycles that will break because you refuse to follow the crowd. You are the disruption, the reset, the shift, and the delay made sure you were ready to carry all of it with grace, wisdom, and fire. There were seasons where everything in your life felt slow, as if the very clock that moved the world forward refused to tick for you. You saw time slipping through your fingers, and yet no doors opened, no wind changed, no miracles came. But what you didn't know then, chosen one, is that your time was being protected, not wasted. The delay wasn't a pause. It was a preparation of the battlefield. What you're destined to build isn't built on speed. It's built on strategy. And strategy can't be rushed. It's a game of timing, of terrain, of knowing the exact moment to move, and more importantly, when to wait. You were learning how to read the unseen, to interpret silence, to sense the shifting undercurrents of the universe. Billionaire destinies require this kind of discernment because they aren't handed out to everyone. They're earned by those who can outlast time itself. Do you realize how many people collapsed under the weight of a dream they tried to build too early? They had resources but no root. They had ambition but no alignment. That's not your story. You didn't just ask for the outcome, you became worthy of it. The delay stripped you of every illusion, every false shortcut, every mask. And in return, it gave you truth, real strength, inner clarity, the kind of foundation that storms can't shake. You weren't being punished by the delay, you were being purified, filtered, refined by fire so hot that it didn't just burn your ego, it melted away every layer of false identity. You learned who you are without applause, without help, without comfort. And now, your confidence isn't a performance, it's a conviction. It's bone deep. The billionaire version of you couldn't be released until the survivor in you fully emerged. You had to outlast betrayals, survive emotional bankruptcies, navigate days when hope was running on fumes. You endured nights where even your dreams were tired, and yet you refused to fold. That's the mark of divine royalty. That's the kind of character billion-dollar legacies require. You see, your delay wasn't a not yet. It was a proving ground. The universe was watching how you handled delay to decide if it could trust you with destiny, and you passed. Not because you were perfect, but because you were persistent. You kept showing up, even when no one believed, even when the money was low, the vision was blurry, and your energy was depleted. Still, you got up. Still, you dreamed. Still, you built. Because your soul knew what your circumstances didn't, that you were being positioned, that the silence wasn't the end, it was the setup. A sacred alignment was taking place behind the scenes, moving people, events, and energies into place for your launch. But like all great launches, your takeoff had to be perfectly calculated. Too early, and you'd crash. Too late, and you'd miss the window. But you're right on time. The delay was used to hide you, not to hinder you. Because sometimes, what's too powerful must be protected until the stage is ready. And now, the stage is ready. The spotlight is shifting. The eyes of the world will soon turn in your direction. And when they do, they won't just see wealth. They'll see wisdom. They'll see depth. Scars turned into gold. Setbacks turned into strategy. You are no longer simply a dreamer. You are a constructor of realities. Someone who speaks and structures rise. Someone who envisions and teams gather. Someone who moves and systems realign. That's the power you carry now. The kind of power that needed delay to form, to settle, to solidify. The people who once ignored you will try to retrace their steps, but they won't recognize who you've become. That's the cost of delay. You evolve past the need for the old crowd, past the need for revenge, past the need for validation. You've been emptied of ego so you could be filled with vision. And this vision is generational. This isn't a one-season win. This is empire building, impact engineering, legacy seeding. You're not chasing vanity metrics anymore. You're engineering movements. Your success now has mass. It carries gravity. It attracts opportunities without you having to knock. It opens doors that were sealed shut. That's billionaire alignment. And it was born through years of silence and invisible labor. You labored without praise. You gave without return. You stayed loyal to a dream that felt like it betrayed you, but it didn't. It tested you. It asked, "Will you still believe when nothing moves?" And you answered, "Yes." That yes echoed through the halls of destiny and became a command to the universe. Release it. That release is near now. The veil is thinning. The people are ready. The platforms are forming. And when your voice rises, it will cut through noise like thunder. Because your voice carries truth now. Not the recycled fluff of trend chasers, but the rare resonance of someone who's lived what they preach. People trust you because you've bled for what you teach. You've sacrificed for what you're about to lead. And that kind of leadership, rare, raw, refined, is what this era needs. This is why you were delayed. Because the world didn't just need another billionaire. It needed you, your energy, your story, your fire. Not perfect, but prepared. You didn't just survive the delay. You transformed in it. You didn't just wait. You worked. You planted seeds when the soil looked barren. You built structures when there was no blueprint. You believed when no one clapped. That's the kind of builder the future belongs to. Now, you carry the kind of gravity that shifts everything. Your decisions impact markets. Your words spark revolutions. Your energy rearranges environments. Because the delay didn't stop you. It forged you. The wait wasn't a wall. It was a womb. And now, chosen one, you're ready to be born into the season that was always yours. You've probably wondered, why did others rise before you? Why did people with half your heart and none of your vision receive platforms you prayed for, wealth you dreamed of, and attention you deeply deserved? It's not because they were chosen before you, it's because their journey required less fire, less refinement, less responsibility. And that's the key, chosen one. Your destiny is not ordinary. It carries responsibility. Not just riches. Anyone can attract money, but not everyone can carry wealth that transforms generations. Not everyone can handle abundance without being consumed by it. Not everyone can steward power without turning into the very systems they once stood against. But you were being prepared not just to receive, but to handle, to hold, to sustain. That kind of capacity isn't gifted. It's forged in the fire of delay. Your delay was training your nervous system to handle magnitude. It was building your mind to withstand weight. It was expanding your heart so your hands wouldn't tremble when the blessing came. Billionaire status isn't just about what you build. It's about what you can carry without collapsing. And many collapse under the weight of what they rushed into. You were never meant to collapse. You were meant to rise differently. And that rising had to come from an internal empire first. Before the buildings, the bank accounts, and the headlines, your inner world had to be fortified. So you learned patience when others ran. You cultivated silence while others shouted. You honored solitude while others chased attention. And in that sacred discipline, your destiny gained density. That density is your secret power now. It's what makes your energy unshakable. It's what makes your presence shift rooms. People may not understand why they feel small next to you. It's not ego. It's not attitude. It's depth. You walk with the gravity of someone who has seen the dark and refused to be swallowed by it. Delay trained you to see through masks, to feel when something is off, to discern when a deal is dressed in gold but smells like compromise. And this discernment will protect your empire from the parasites that feed on unguarded greatness. You were delayed not to lose, but to learn to guard what you're about to gain. You're not just rising to wealth, you're rising to watchfulness. Your destiny is as much about what you say no to as what you embrace. That's the power of delay. It teaches you what's not for you. It refines your filter. It sharpens your standards. It elevates your expectations. So now, what others would run toward, you calmly reject. What others crave, you now question. Because you know that just because it glitters doesn't mean it's aligned. Your billionaire path requires a throne, not built with currency, but with clarity. And clarity only comes from seasons where you had to sit in confusion, face rejection, and breathe through the ache of not knowing when it would all shift. But it did shift, slowly, quietly, powerfully, because everything sacred begins in silence. There are forces moving now that were once dormant, connections awakening, paths forming. It might still feel slow on the outside, but within you, there is a roaring certainty. Something massive is coming. That feeling isn't fantasy, it's prophecy, it's confirmation. And it's also permission. Permission to rise, to act, to receive, because you're not the same person who once begged the universe for breadcrumbs. You're the one the universe now leans toward, whispering, "You're ready." This readiness wasn't accidental, it was designed. And your delay was the classroom. You studied in storms, you graduated through pain, and now you walk with a diploma, not handed by man, but signed by the divine. That's why your voice will soon carry authority. It's not that you speak louder, it's that you speak from a place of truth, depth, and earned wisdom. That's the reward of divine delay, unshakable strength. Not the kind that performs, but the kind that anchors you. That kind that cannot be bought. The kind that makes kings pause when you speak. The kind that shifts the room without raising your voice. You've arrived at a place few ever do, the summit of spiritual readiness. And from here, you don't climb anymore. You command from the mountaintop. You'll notice now that people will begin to treat you differently. Some with awe, some with envy, some with silence, because your presence reminds them of what they chose not to become. But that's not your concern. Your only responsibility now is to build what you were delayed to carry. You are not just the chosen one, you are the appointed one. For this generation, for this timeline, for this exact moment in Earth's unfolding, everything that was delayed will now begin to move toward you with divine precision. Not randomly, not out of luck, but with a rhythm only the spiritually awake can perceive. You will look back on the timeline of your life and weep, not from regret, but from reverence. You'll see how every no made room for a greater yes. You'll see how every tear watered a future harvest. You'll see how the silence protected your calling from the noise of unworthy voices. Because truthfully, chosen one, your billionaire destiny was never delayed. It was descending, layer by layer, level by level, soul by soul, until the ground was strong enough to receive it. And now, the ground has shifted. Your steps echo with power. The doors respond to your energy. The future bows to your presence, because you are no longer waiting, you are walking in it. And it's no longer called delay, it's called divine deployment. Go now. Building speak, lead, receive. Everything is aligned, everything is ready, and most importantly, so are you.